and welcome to Jazzy's Funky Views. Well, today I'm going to be talking about the importance of categorisation for organisational, not segregational purposes. I have spoken on other videos about the importance of categorisation for the purposes of like working out, like talking about high and low functioning autism and about the class system and things about organising categorising people to know where they stand in society, whether they have, lots of money or not enough money and things like that, to try to see where people need whatever support that they do need, and basically working it out in that way to make it easier for people to know where people stand in society, where and that includes about support as well that people would need if they have certain disabilities and so on and so on. There's loads of different ways in which people are categorised, and so they should be. But the problem is with categorisation, just purely categorisation, there is the opportunity for certain people to say, well, if you're above a certain level of whatever, whether it's cognitive ability or a certain sort of the way you live and the way the sort of house you own and all these sorts of things can basically make people think, well, these people won't need as much help as, say, somebody else who doesn't have these things, and so on and so on. And it does give rise for people to be able to segregate people, and that is not what I'm for. And when you look at like categorisation in its own right, you do look at it as pigeonholing people or thing and putting them into little boxes and saying, right, well, these people need this help and that people need, and it's not nuanced enough. It's not enough information. A high functioning autistic is still an autistic, so they will still have support needs. So, and it's about, as I say, with categorisation, to find the right support for those people. Not to say that these people don't need it because they're classed as high functioning. That's the difference. You have to... There's a lot of work. I understand there would be an awful lot of work to really look at all those nuanced situations where people will need support. Just the same. I mean, it's like I said before, in the class system, like aristocrats, they have these big houses. You think, oh, they're going to be loaded, and so they won't need it. But then they have to then use those houses then to basically make ends meet money-wise, because those houses need upkeep. And if those people haven't got the money that people think they do, it becomes then an issue, and then they may end up having to sell those houses and so on, and it becomes a problem again for them. So it's looking at... I'm not saying that they shouldn't do that. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're in a position where they could have enough money and live and be okay, then that may be what they need to do. Or they say they may need to earn a living just like anyone else, and if they're able to and they can, there's no harm in it. But it's just understanding their difficulties and giving any support that may be needed if they're not able, or if there is difficulties somewhere, then society may well need to support them. But it's just that it's looking at every detail and categorising it, but only for the purposes of organising where people need help. If they don't need it, then they don't get it. But I think there's a lot of people that slip through nets because of that reasoning. I do not agree with just pigeonholing people and saying, well, these people need help, but those won't. If you've got a disability, you've got a disability, and and obviously if you have that disability, then you will need certain support. Some people with certain disabilities may not require it or may not wish to have it, and that's fine too. You don't have to apply for things, or you don't have to, and you can get on with your life as however way you wish to. But obviously, if you feel you do need it and it's available, then it should be given. It shouldn't be like, you don't fit in this box, so you won't get that. It doesn't. It shouldn't be like that. It needs to be nuanced. It needs to be looked at properly, and see where people fit in a better way. But so that they can say, well, you are entitled to these things, but obviously people still would need to apply if they choose to. But that is again the person's choice if they want to do that or not. But also as well, categorisation of not just people, but you can have categorisation for like where things go. in a cupboard, you can categorise where you put bowls and plates and that in cupboards and different things. Categorisation is brilliant for everything. But when we talk about like segregation, we are actually talking about people. So, but because you can't segregate a bowl and a plate, can you? That's just me being silly now. Okay, but there we go. So that was my funky views of the day. I'll see you later.